adapting these 66s for an RHTT. Stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, just before we start this video, I had a nice surprise. It's the long-lost Class 800 bogie from Hornby. So they did keep their promise. Thank you, Hornby. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Piccadilly East Way. Now, you can see in front of you, I've got the RHTT at the back there, or the Railhead Treatment Train. Now, for those of you who are not sure, it's like a pressure washer for the tracks. Many years ago, British Rail said, wrong leaves on the line. And so that's why your train was delayed. I don't know if any of you remember that. Do comment if you do. And these were built in response to that, basically, because that couldn't go on, really. Trains were skidding and they needed to do something about it. So these high pressure jets over the railhead really have cleaned the train. So we don't have that problem anymore, as far as I'm aware. But anyway, you will notice there are two 66s sitting in front of here now, and I've got this one. This was one I got from Rails of Sheffield a few weeks ago, and that is a railroad version. So it has a powered bogie at one end and freewheeling at the other end. That has been fitted with an HM7000. And the plan is to take the bogie out, or to take the motor out and all the gears, so that is completely free running. The next thing I need to do is, if you notice, the colours are very different on these. I'll talk about this one in a minute. So this one needs to be darkened down, so I'll probably give it a black wash over the top and darken it down so it's vaguely similar to that one. Thirdly, 66731 is the locomotive which was dedicated to Sir Tom Moore, a brilliant man who did so much good raising money for all the varying causes that he did, and it was quite right that a locomotive was dedicated to him. But as far as I know, that locomotive is still in the celebratory livery, and I really would like to keep this in Europort, which has got the curved swooshes here and the white, the yellow along the top, whereas that one, as you can see, is the original livery, doesn't have that. It's a very different affair with all this yellow at the ends here. So I will probably renumber this one to 66704 or 66706. I haven't made a complete decision yet, but it came down to the door not being there on this model, so I had to choose one without that, and also the configuration of the lights. It's got the standard rectangle type lights as opposed to that on the end with a big light there. Now that is my Hatton's one, and that was very cheap. And you might think, well, why did I buy that one when I was going to use this one in the RHTT? Well, the reason I bought something really cheap is because I'm going to spray the living daylights out of it and spray it brown, because that train makes everything brown because it sprays up all the muck in the track, and it literally, this gets covered, all of that, and the locomotive gets covered by the lights or the windscreen wipers, and you have to use a little mask and spray those out. So I thought, I'm not going to do that to this one. So that's a big no-no. And so that's why I went looking for a cheap Bachmann. I knew I wasn't going to find a Hatton's one that's potentially working anyway. They're a lot more expensive than that was. That was £85 from Ellis Clark, and it's an old 8-pin. It does have working lights. You've got the top light works, and you may remember you get one light on that side. I'm not sure I can get this side working at the moment. I might look into it, I don't know. But it's absolutely fine, and I will just dirty that up and make it look pretty much the same. Now, the big thing, if you look across all three, they are very different. Obviously, that's the palest, and like I said, I'm going to put a dark wash on that. This one I would say is probably the most accurate. That does look a bit dark, and it's very glossy. Now, if I put paint on that, it's just literally going to peel off. So what I've got to do is give it a bit of a wet and dry over the top, and then I can paint over it. Obviously, down the sides, it's not going to be quite as bad, but nevertheless, over the top section, you know, it's not going to work. So I need to sand that down a little bit. It is going to stay in that livery, but nevertheless. So I've got a strong locomotive that should be able to pull that without its gears and motor, and those two as well without any problems. Now, as I've said before, these don't come with working lights. I mean, it was only 55 quid and they have no working lights, whereas that one does. So I've blacked off one end, by the way, put some masking tape over the LEDs inside the locomotive, whereas this one I've got to drill them out. So I'll show you how I do that when I get that far. But I've bought some 2mm fibre optic, and I've bought some white nano LEDs. I've got some red ones, and the idea would be that I drill out one end. I'm not sure, I think it will be this end, I'm not sure at the minute. Drill out the lights at one end and put working lights in it, because it's got an 8-pin HM7000 in it, so I can just take the wires off the decoder, or from the plugs I should say, and then directly wire them to the LEDs down here. That should be absolutely fine. So next job then is to take the motor out of this with all its gears and then get it free rolling. Okay, speak soon. Okay, welcome back. So I'm just going to take the body off this Hornby one, just so you can see Hornby. Okay, and you'll see inside what you get for a railroad model. All right, and obviously as I said before, I fitted the HM7000 sound decoder. Now the unpowered bogie is literally just, it's like a cocoa bogie, but you know, it's just clipped in just in the same way a coach bogie would, but it does have pickups. So whatever we do, we need to make sure that this has got pickups as well. So what I'm going to do is to release this bogie, but obviously being careful not to stretch those wires. Now, I don't know whether that will just pull out or whether I need to give it some assistance. It might be wise, mindfully, I can release it. So you can see what I've got to do here is try and push this bogie, or the tower part, into there. There we go. Let's see how much slack we've got. Oh, we have got a bit more. Oh, there is quite a lot there actually. So oh, that's lovely. Right, so in that case then, I might be able to get all this bogie frame off, because the idea of this is to remove the gearing inside and take out the motor. So it looks like I'm going to have to split this by undoing those screws, and then hopefully I should be able to remove the motor inside. So undo that. So another one in there, yeah. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And as I said before, it seems kind of a perfect choice to use the Hornby one, because it's cheap and we're not destroying an expensive model. So that hopefully should come apart, and it does. There we go. So I can take this motor out, and I will have to, I think I might just pull those wires off, to be honest, or cut them. Not I've got a pair of scissors here. I'm just going to cut these wires. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Like so. And then that should release or allow me to take out these wheels, or these gears I should say. There we go, and the number 4, like that. So it's just a case of now putting it back, not worry about those wires for the moment. Is that part of a pickup there? Oh, it is part of the pickups. It is soldered on. Now obviously this bogie is considerably lighter now because it doesn't have the motor in it, and that is I wouldn't say it's a heavy beast, but it's certainly not light. Like that, and do this up, not massively tight. Again, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Bit now. And that one. I have to be honest, that was a much simpler job than I anticipated. Now, is there another screw? Yes, there is. That one goes back in there. So, I mean, on many controllers, you could probably get a double heading of a 66 or any locomotive, to be honest, quite easily. But on the Z21, it's not easy. And to try and you have to speed match every locomotive, and you know it's very difficult to speed match them. But if you can take one motor out and use it as a dummy, so to speak, that does make life so much easier. So I'm just putting that back in there, noticing that it doesn't have any bearings in there. Not that it matters for the amount of money, but you know, these models are not, well, I say not meant to last, but you know, because some of the really old models that we used to have in the 1970s, they've lasted quite a long time in some cases. Anyway, is that it? Yeah, and you can see that's turning very freely now. So I need to pull these wires through, and there's a black one, so that must be that one. Just there like that. And I'll pull both of those through like that and push the bogies onto the flat surface and push. Right, so as you can see, I've just taped the wires together and just put a bit of Kapton tape over the ends. It does look a bit of a mess inside, but you're not going to see it. So I'll just put the body back on like that, and I'll refit a bogie in there, and we'll see if the 66, the Bachmann 66, can pull it. I mean, it is quite free rolling now, so in theory it shouldn't have too many issues. But right, welcome back. So you can see I've got the RHTT on the track, and the Hornby 66 is indeed quite free rolling, no issues with that at all. Now I have made some modifications. I've shortened that coupling bar, that was the original one there, just there, and it was probably about 4 mil wider than that, so that's a lot better. And I've also put my, if you can make those out of course, just there, my proprietary magnetic couplings, which is basically, like I said before, it's a box. I don't know whether it's going to focus, but there's a box underneath there with a pin through it, and then that's a bar, coupling bar with a hole, and the pin goes through the hole. So that is literally just free turning. It's not sprung or anything, and it works. And I've done a very similar type of thing there and fitted a type of coupling on that. If I show you that one, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it or not, but you can see the box certainly there on the end. Okay, and this end I've altered the lighting ever so slightly. So as you can see now, I've got another LED. The Bachmann one comes with that one and that one, and I've put this one in. It does seem a little bit brighter, but to be honest, I'm not going to worry about it. And then when I go the other way, it just brings up the two reds. I'll be honest, I did try and fit 4 across there, so the inner 2 as well, but using traditional LEDs, it's very difficult in the set with the amount of space that I've got in there. I think with the other end, with the other 66, the Hornby one, because it's pretty much an open shell, I probably would be able to do it by creating a little box where there will be the red LED and the white LED, and then fibre optics going off into the light lenses, and it should work. I can't really see any reason why it shouldn't, but I'll have an awful lot more space to be able to do that and have 2 sets of LEDs for each left hand side and right hand side. But I'll do a separate video on just that and how to drill out the holes, and how I feel I'm going to drill out the holes anyway and get them in the right places and not one higher than the other, that type of thing. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's have some running shots. So there we go. So both engines now have got sound in, and you can hopefully hear that one as well. And let's set it going. Oops, the other 66 seems to be just starting up for some odd reason. Now, those magnetic couplings will really help the train going around the corners. So remember, the Bachmann 66 is at the back, and the Hornby 66, without any power at all at the moment, no lights as you can see, is at the front. But you can hear it. And when I had the tension locks on it, it was derailing like no tomorrow. That 66 seems to be stalling a little bit. I might see if I can find a bigger power pack for it. It should cope all right, but it seems to stick at certain parts of the track, which is quite strange. But there you go. I'll send it back the other way so you can see it coming with the lights on in the different direction. Just bring it down to a stop now. There we go, from there, and yes, it will be running on the wrong line, and no, I'm not going to switch it over. I could do on the middle line, but for this experiment, I think it'll just run on the wrong line. Oops. I'll speed up the 66 a bit more now. So there we are. I've done the basics of forming the train, and that is to take the Hornby 66 and take out the motor and the gearing. I've then attached my own proprietary magnetic couplings and shortened the coupling bar between the two RHTT wagons, and then finally I've fitted the extra headlights on the front of this Bachmann 66, and also both fitted them with sound. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Not sure when the next one will be. It might even be next week, you never know. Depends how I feel, but on the other hand, it could be in a few weeks' time when I start looking at weathering these and detailing them up, because neither have a front valance. Catch you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.